welcome to another edition of the Plus One interview. And this time we have a blast from the past, the original, the original host for you for this segment. I got Mr. Brian Dorrington here. We got a lot to talk about these Patriots.
It is great to see you again. Marvelous Mukala Kabungo. I miss saying that. The alliteration, magician. I had a lot of good ones.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
And I miss being part of the show. But you guys are holding it down nice. That's for sure.
We're trying. The people still like it.
And you must be getting pretty desperate if you have to call in me for Plus One. I wonder how many people canceled before you thought, maybe I'll contact this idiot.
We had no guests this week.
All right, well, I'll fill in anytime you need.
All right, so let's talk about the Patriots this season. And the thing that everybody has been saying is, I don't understand this team. And to be honest, I don't get it either, because they gave us a little glimpse of hope when they had that 2-game winning streak, and then they went down to Houston and stunk up the joint. And they beat Arizona, but it's like we don't know what we're gonna get each week.
Well, the problem is there's no talent. I mean, that's really where it all starts. You look at these teams, even Arizona, who we beat, but they have talent. They have guys you want to hold on to in the future. Seattle, they have talent. Kansas City has talent. Who on the Patriots do you really say has talent that you want to see back next year? Like, who are those guys? How many guys do you want to see back next year?
Damian Harris.
Exactly. Damian Harris, Kyle Duggar, he's been playing well. Some of the linemen, one of the guys whose name I can't pronounce is supposedly really good, but even when he's injured all the time. So that's where it all starts from. There just isn't enough skill on the team that's going to come out and perform on a consistent basis where you're going to say, okay, now this team has an identity. This team can, run the ball consistently every game. Or this team, they got the deep ball threat. They don't have any of that. I mean, look at who the two best receivers are. Demarius Byrd, is that his first name? And Jacoby Myers. I mean, these guys are possession receivers. They're wide receiver threes in most other teams. That's I think where it all goes wrong. It all starts from the talent, and then it can only get worse if you have no talent.
Yeah, the only thing they've been consistent on in the offense that's actually been good has been the running game with Damian Harris as he emerged. Sony Michel, he's kind of on the shelf right now. Too many injuries and lack of production, but Damian Harris, he's really kept this team afloat. And with James White coming back, James White, he always gives them that dynamic of a run pass, run catch, running back / that type of player the Patriots seem to always have in these last 20 years. So those two.
And you know what? And I'll say one more. Nick Folk. Who would have thought Nick Folk would be the team MVP at this point in the season?
We wanted to run him out of town earlier in the season, but
two 50-plus game-winning field goals, I think it is.
Yeah.
So those three guys, they can stay.
Yeah.
White, Folk, and Damian Harris. He's great. He's going to be a number one guy. You got to keep him healthy for sure.
Yeah, and now the thing that, as the season is winding down, we're looking at the quarterback position. And right now, if they win if they finish 8-8, their draft position, they might not be able to get a quarterback. So it's now, what do you do? Are you going to bring back Cam Newton? Because in my mind, I'm like, maybe you should bring him back, but give him another short-term deal, because he did come on the scene really late, having to pick up to learn the offense. I mean, maybe if you give him an offseason with this team to actually learn the offense and learn everything in the offseason, and we can see what happens with him in another short-term deal, maybe another 2-3 deals, like a 3-year deal with the last year as an option, give him that short-term and see what he has when he has a full year of learning, a full offseason of learning this offense.
Yeah, I mean, that might be what they have to do, but you said it exactly perfectly. This is the absolute worst case scenario for this year. And I hate being a Pats hater, but finishing in the middle of the pack, finishing 8-8, getting the 16th overall pick, I would have much rather tanked the season, had 2 or 3 wins, been able to get, at least compete for Lawrence, Fields, or Zach Wilson at a BYU, who I really like. But you're not going to get those guys. They're going to be gone by the 16th, 17th, 15th pick that you have. So you're right. So you got to start thinking about who's available next year. The good thing is the Pats, I think they're going to have the first or second most cap space next year, but who's going to be available on the quarterback market? Are the Niners going to let go of Jimmy G? Do we want Jimmy G if they let him go? I mean,
limitations.
Yeah, and he's injured a lot. So I think you're right. I think it's going to be either we're going to have to try to trade up in the draft. Maybe you package Gilmore with a first rounder this year and another first rounder if you want to try to move up, or you take a flyer on a second round quarterback, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, I think you might have to bring back Cam Newton, and it really scares me that we were going to go into this season with Stidham. I mean, if Stidham can't beat out Cam Newton right now, what does that really tell you about where we would be if we didn't have Cam Newton?
Yeah, I'll give you one better. If he couldn't beat out Brian Hoyer to be the backup to Cam Newton, what does that tell you about him? And there are Patriots fans that really believe that Jarrett Stidham should get some playing time. And if he was in there, the Patriots would actually have a better record. There's actual Patriots fans who actually believe in their hearts that Jarrett Stidham is a savior. And in my mind, I'm like, clearly you guys don't watch enough of Jarrett Stidham from the preseason games where he got pulled from a preseason game. And there's something like he's thrown 20 passes in the league. 4 of them has gone for interceptions.
Yeah. No, I mean, I want to see him play just so we can get more losses and a better draft pick, because that's what we're talking about this year. I mean, we're talking about preparing for next year, but in a bad way, because the Patriots seem to be trending upwards, but it's not going to get us to Super Bowl. It's not going to get us to the AFC East Championship. Yes, there's an extra wild card spot this year that we still might be able to get, but this team isn't winning a Super Bowl. They're not going to win a playoff game if they somehow magically get in. So you're right. Everything we're talking about is for the future and for next year. And who would have thought? I mean, you and I, being our age, we've never had this where we say, oh, you know what, we'll have to wait and see what happens next year for us to win. We've been spoiled. We've had the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick run. So this is new to us. And frankly, I just don't know where to go, because we don't have the talent, and the talent that we do have is getting older. Gilmore, he's talented, but he's getting up there. He's going to want to get paid more. I mean, he's got one more year, but he's still going to want to get paid. You're going to want to pay a D-back deep in their 30s. Edelman, he's talented, but he's getting old too. I mean, I think it's going to be a tough spot.
Time to invest in some young talent, and also with the guys that opted out to COVID. Yeah. Now, what are they going to do next year? Are they going to come back? What's that going to be like? Because those guys, a year away from football is not always good. It may be good on your body, but sometimes we've seen guys take a year off and they come back, they get hurt, and they're done for the season real quick. So that's another obstacle that, there's a lot of question marks with the Patriots. And me personally, I'm not even that. I'm just like, sometimes things like this happen. It can't all be happy-go-lucky all the time.
It can't, but we also can't turn into how the New York Jets have been for like the past decade, because they're going to get Trevor Lawrence, okay? The Miami Dolphins have Tua. The Buffalo Bills have Josh Allen, who you and I used to rip. But I think he's proven us wrong. I still think that on the big stage, he'll be a fail guy. But those are 3 young quarterbacks in the AFC East that are going to be around for a long time. Yeah. And the way to win in this league is to get good quarterbacks on rookie contracts. Yeah. We need a good quarterback. We need a young quarterback. And we need to not be able to overpay if we want to compete with these guys. I just don't want us to see us finishing last perpetually in the AFC East. because then at some point I'm going to have to, start rooting for a different team. Maybe the Cleveland Browns.
I can't. Cleveland.
We were right about Baker Mayfield.
We are completely right about Baker Mayfield, and I'm not buying the Cleveland Browns. They haven't beaten a good team yet.
I'm not buying the Cleveland Browns at all. I mean, they can run the ball. That's just about it. But you need a quarterback, and Baker Mayfield's not the quarterback.
Speaking of quarterbacks, I'll talk about two quarterbacks before we get up out of here. First, Carson Wentz and how he's just been going down. Well, last year it wasn't too bad. Last year he put up, despite everything around him, he put up a good season last year. But this year it has been bad. And it's like, Philly, how did it get this bad? Especially for him too.
Yeah, I mean, he was incredibly highly touted out of college, obviously. And what was his injury? Did he break a leg or ACL? But the season that he did that, there were talks. Carson Wentz's MVP candidate that year before he got in.
Yep.
Excuse me. His slide. That's not COVID. Don't worry. I just got a dry throat. And even if it is, there's nobody around here besides Buddy the Elf, who, as you can see, is very excited. Anyway, Wentz. I can't tell you. Being an Eagles fan would be much worse than being a Patriots fan. They don't have anything to look forward to. They got to watch one of the most highly touted guys coming out of college quarterback in the past few years just turn into absolute pile of stinking garbage. Yeah. I don't have any explanation for it. I don't think Doug Peterson's going to be around much longer if he can't, because they have more talent than the Patriots. They got some good receivers. They got at least on the offensive side of the ball. They just running back.
Their issues, they can't stay healthy.
They can't stay healthy, and Carson Wentz, you're right. He's just downward trajectory. Can't explain it.
I think maybe it's, and what's worse is they're stuck with him until 2024 unless they trade him, because they did give him that big contract. But it's looking like maybe he needs a change of scenery, because I just think he needs a change of scenery, and he just needs to go somewhere else.
That could be true. Sometimes a fresh start can, help a guy, can bring him along, and, maybe he's not in the right offense. Maybe, I don't want to say this now, but maybe there's a guy like that the New England Patriots can pick up. And I'm going to throw out this name, Sam Darnold. For next year, if they take Trevor Lawrence, Sam Darnold's got to go somewhere. You got a 16th, you got a mid-round pick. Is Sam Darnold worth a first rounder? I don't know. But he's a guy who has talent. He's been with the worst coach probably in modern history, in Adam Gase. He's not been treated well in terms of what's around him. And he's maybe a guy that if we miss out on a top draft pick and we can't sign some nice free agents, maybe you go with the Sam Darnold, give him a shot. Could be a guy, like you say, like Carson Wentz, that might benefit from a change of scenery.
I got one even better.
Good.
Jameis Winston. I think Jameis, because he's only on a 1-year deal with the Saints, so he's going to be a free agent again. Jameis Winston, we can say all we want, with the 30 interceptions, all the turnovers he had. Jameis Winston, under the proper coaching and just under the right situation, Jameis could help a team out. And I think, because this guy did throw for 5,000 yards last season. We can't just brush that aside. Jameis did throw for 5,000 yards. I think he had 4,000 the season before. Jameis Winston, I think he can help lead a team, especially now that he's sat back for a year and just observed from the sideline. I think, Jameis Winston, I think he can next year. He can definitely help somebody.
It's funny. I don't know if you and I texted this back and forth, but I was big on signing Jameis Winston when he was, still available, because you could get him for cheap. He can make every throw you need him to make. Yeah. And what I like about him is, he turns the ball over, but it doesn't affect him. He's like a shooter in basketball. Mm-hmm. A three-point shooter. You're going to miss some, but they're just going to keep throwing it up. The good ones just keep throwing it up. They don't care if it misses or not. They're eventually going to hit one. And that's how he is with interceptions. He's going to keep you can tell nothing affects this dude because he walks off the field after throwing 2 interceptions. He'll go out and still, throw the ball, like you said, for 5,000. I was going to say miles, not 5,000 miles. That would be incredible. 5,000 yards. But that was also the Bruce Arians offense, throw the ball deep, take some risks. But I agree with proper coaching. He's big. He's athletic enough. He reminds me of like Ben Roethlisberger type, a little bit more athletic, and he can make any throw you need him to make, but he is someone who needs to be coached. And you could get him cheap.
Yeah, you could definitely get him cheap. And speaking of Bruce Arians, there's a lot of stuff happening down in Tampa right now. A lot of noise in Tampa, a lot of criticism on the quarterback, the coach, criticizing the quarterback in public. What do you make of everything going on in Tampa right now?
Well, I love seeing it. I love seeing Tampa Bay. I mean, that's a team that – so they're – how many games behind are they, the Saints? Is it 2 or 3 at this point?
The Saints are 9-2. They are 7-5.
7-5. So with math, I think they're 3 games behind.
Yeah.
Either way, they should be atop that division with the talent that they have. Godwin, Evans, those are 2 Pro Bowlers right there. You add in Gronk. Yeah, he sat out for a year, but he's an all-pro player, and he has the rapport with Brady. And then you bring in AB, Antonio Brown. And then you got, a great defense as well. Devin White's probably one of the best, middle linebackers. So to me, that team is just miscoached. I think Brady probably brought an attitude that he learned in New England that's not going to work anywhere else. Probably too demanding of his players. He's old now. He was involved with the Patriot Way. He helped develop the Patriot Way. I think I don't know this, but I think he's probably trying to implement that stuff that he was doing in New England in that locker room with younger guys. And for some reason, they're just not meshing, and I love every single second of it. And I would love them to even miss the playoffs.
The thing I don't understand about Tampa Bay and Bruce Arians, because the interceptions Brady are throwing they're inexcusable. Some of them are very, very dumb interceptions. It's like, why are you throwing the ball over there? There's 2 people there. You're overthrowing it, or you're throwing it to a guy that's covered by 2 people. I get that. But once again, Bruce Arians, what are you doing? Change your offense around. You don't have to be bombs away every single play. You can't, when they get down big, they try to get it all back on one play, and they just completely ignore the running game. And it's like, this guy, you got a 43-year-old quarterback who needs the running game so he can do the play action to get the ball to his playmakers. And nothing is working on offense. Defensively, they had a good stretch, a good 4 or 5 game stretch, and then for the past 3-4 weeks, it's just been downhill. It's like the whole team is a mess, and a bye week could not have come at a perfect time for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's Bruce Arians' offense. It's always the deep ball. It's always trying to stretch the field. And Brady was a great deep ball passer, one of the best.
When he was younger.
When he was younger, that's what I'm saying. And it's not translating. And I think they might have too many cooks in the kitchen, too many different personalities, too many guys you're trying to get the ball to. And maybe in the locker room, it's just one of those diva shows like the Real Housewives of Tampa Bay or something brought into the Buccaneers.
Maybe
that's what I'm feeling.
That's what it seems like, and it's like the Brady haters are loving every moment of it. We got every second. They spent the whole week talking about him not shaking hands after a game. Then they talked about him yelling at his offensive linemen during games, and I just watched, and I'm just like, he does have a reason to yell at him. They had 4 or 5 straight penalties on a drive. Some of these guys, they go on TV and they talk and ramble. It's like nobody has ever seen a teammate get yelled at by the quarterback before. This is something new.
But it's new to Tom. He's not used to having that many penalties on a team. There was something in the beginning of the year where the amount of penalties already in the season that the Buccaneers have had has never happened. Total amount of penalties for the Patriots in an entire season, something ridiculous like that. Anyway, the point is that there's so many more penalties now that Brady's seeing in Tampa Bay than he saw in New England. And obviously that comes down to coaching and discipline and Bruce Arians and having to get their team in a position to win. But then I still think Brady is just so used to that Patriot way, so used to that precision where everything, the game plan was going to be perfect. Everybody was disciplined. Everybody was on the same page. And I think he expected that to be that way in Tampa Bay, and he tried to implement it, and I don't think it's working for him. And I couldn't be happier because I don't know how you feel about this, but I am quite upset over the breakup and how that turned out.
I mean, I wasn't upset. Like, 20 years, that's it. You can't keep some – sports is a young man's game, and at some point you got to move on. But, hey, 20 years –
He broke my heart, McCall. I'm not moving on. My heart was broken.
20 years, 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowl victories. They can't ask for anything more than that. But, yeah, the Bucs got issues. But to their brighter point for them, there's no clear-cut favorite in the NFC. So they can go on the streak, and once the playoffs comes around, anything can happen because we've seen lesser teams make playoff runs and win a Super Bowl. So anything could happen.
As much as I hate Aaron Rodgers, I think he is an absolute crap human being. I think the Packers are going to come out of the NFC, and I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to come out of the AFC, and I think we're going to have a Packers-Steelers Super Bowl.
Here's my thing with the Packers. I've seen them play in their 3 losses, and they played when a team got physical with them and punked them. And I just don't see them making a deep run. I don't see it. I see maybe they'll get to the conference championship again, but I'm not sold on any team in the NFC.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if it's anybody. I mean, it's either going to be Green Bay or one of the teams coming out of the NFC West, but that's going to be a tough road for those guys.
Yeah.
Toughest division in the league for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Man, that was all right. We run out of time here. All right, Brian, that's good. Oh yeah, lastly, before we get out of here, some Celtics news. What did you make of everything that's happened with them during this offseason? This whole Gordon Hayward experience that just didn't work out, and now they move. Now this guy, Kemba Walker, with his injuries, he's not going to start the season because he's had a bad knee. Like, what do you make of everything going on with the Celtics?
Well, first of all, you want to talk about not being able to blame people. Gordon Hayward, $120 million. Was it 4 years, right? I mean, that's going to come out to be one of the worst contracts in NBA and maybe all of sports history. So Michael Jordan, who really has not liked to pay people, it seems like, for some reason was willing to give $120 million to 4 years for a guy who came off the bench a bunch of times and has been injured and averaged like 17 points a game. I don't know. I think that's a bad signing. Great for Gordon. I'm a little upset the Celtics weren't able to get anything from it. So I feel like he kind of screwed us there.
They got some money that they could use next year.
They got some money, but there were talks.
27.8 or 29.7 million, something like that.
Yeah, but there were talks with the Pacers doing a sign and trade and getting some of the good Pacers players.
I don't understand why they didn't do the sign and trade with the players because they could have got Doug McDermott and Miles Turner, a guy who can shoot and a guy who can play defense and rebounds. 2 things they needed desperately, and this would have been a steal for them. They
weren't going to give him $120 million. It was going to be around $100 million. $120 million, only the Charlotte Hornets. And just for Kemba real quick, I know you said we're out of time, but from what I heard, he's getting stem cells injected in his knee. That's the procedure. I don't know if that's actually true, but if that is, that's really weird. I've never heard of it happening. And I don't know if it's preventative or not, but that just adds to the strangeness of this offseason. I look forward to seeing, what this team can do. I still think we need some bench players and somebody in a center to step up.
Yeah, that's all I've been saying. Their biggest needs are a center, our big men, and some knockdown shooters. Because right now, I don't know. They might just be an Eastern Conference Championship team once again. So we'll see unless they make moves during the trade deadline. But we'll see. I don't understand them. I don't understand anything they're doing. So that's the Celtics. All right, Brian, man. Great as always to catch up with you. Give the people a little flashback on this Wednesday.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. And anytime you run out of other people on your list and have no one to call, you know that you can reach me last minute because I've got nothing better to do.
We'll get you back when the Patriots season's over. How everything unfolds from now until 3 weeks from now when this season's over. So we could get you back to rant more if the season ends.
Oh, I love ranting. Anytime you want me to rant, just let me know. I'll be there.
All right. You guys have been watching Sport Interview. Have a great day.